Ron Jaworski, former Eagles quarterback, now works for NFL Network, NFL Films, his film session. Former ESPN NFL analyst, and Jaws works joining us now. Hey, Jaws, how are you today?
Dan, I am doing fantastic. It's Dallas week in Philadelphia, so everyone's antenna is up in a huge game in Philly. So, but first of all, hey, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to you and your folks.
Well, thank you. You too, Jaws. Is that your normal voice when you wake up in the morning?
Yeah. Yes, it is. Yeah. My wife says, turn it off. I said, that's who I am.
Is this Carson Wentz's Super Bowl?
No, but it's a big game for him, and clearly, Dan, he has played very well the last couple of weeks. He had a stretch of games where he was not playing well, and that was kind of getting the attention of everyone here in Philadelphia. Is this the kind of guy that's going to lead us to a Super Bowl? But he has performed remarkably well the last couple of weeks, and despite the tremendous turnover at the wide receiving core, his game has picked up. But I think Doug Peterson has really helped them. I think they've simplified the game plan, and they were forced to because of practice squad players now being asked to make plays in big games, and they have done that, by the way. But I think the simplification of the game plan and using Carson Wentz under center a little bit more has helped him.
But you have Dallas, and I know it feels like the media turned this into it's a Dak Prescott-led team, when in reality it's probably still an Ezekiel Elliott-led offense here. What's the game plan for Dallas against Philadelphia?
You know, I go back to the heyday of the Dallas Cowboys and their great success with, Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin, and Emmitt Smith, and what great teams the Cowboys had in that era. And everyone talked about, Emmitt Smith, and certainly a fantastic Hall of Fame football player. But just watching how Jimmy Johnson ran that offense in Dallas, what they did is they scored early. They were very aggressive early in games with the passing game. They like to play with a lead and make the other team's offense one-dimensional. In other words, playing from behind. So they would come out, and they would come out smoking. They would try to score early and make you one-dimensional and then pound the ball with Emmitt Smith. And I think, quite honestly, that's when this Dallas Cowboy team is at its best, when they are throwing early and then grinding the clock, with Ezekiel Elliott. So I expect the Cowboys to come out in this game. The Eagles secondary has struggled. Their pass rush has not been what it was cranked up to be when the season started. Their linebackers are vulnerable in pass coverage. So if Dak is healthy, which was the big news yesterday, the missing practice with the shoulder injury, if he's healthy, I think they come out and throw the ball early.
Really?
Yes.
Because I thought if you run it and then you set up play action and then you allow Dak Prescott to take some shots downfield, and then you come back to your running game, in the second half or in the fourth quarter. But
Dan, I think if you look at the strength of this Eagles defense, it is their defensive line. They don't give up many yards rushing. That's where they've spent their money. So when you spend your money, you believe those are your best players, and they have been very good against the run. So I think Dallas will take a different approach to this game and try to throw the ball early. And again, a lot will depend on Ezekiel Elliott and how he's feeling. Of course, Dak Prescott, how he's feeling. Injuries are absolutely critical at this juncture of the season.
But I'm looking at Dallas. It feels like Dallas has a little bit higher ceiling if they get into the postseason as opposed to the Eagles.
Oh, I think right now I would agree with you.
Okay.
I mean, when the season started, I kind of circled this game myself. There's a part of me that always says, Eagles Dallas is the one that you circle the wagons on per se. And I did not. I expected this to be a big game, but I did not, Dan, expect this to be 2 7-7 teams meeting this late in the season. I thought we were looking at 10, 11 win teams playing for a division title, not 7-7. But the Eagles have been decimated by injuries. The Cowboys have been decimated by inconsistent play. But I think if you look at the rosters right now, at this point in the season, the Cowboys have the better roster.
Talking to Ron Jaworski, former Eagles quarterback, now an analyst for the NFL Network, his film sessions. Which team feels like they're in the worst shape right now in the NFL?
In the NFL?
Yeah.
The Cincinnati Bengals. They've been a train wreck for a long time, and they still are. So they've got a lot of issues they need to solve to become a competitive team. So yeah, I would say when you look at the Bengals right now, they're in the worst shape.
Yeah, but I look at like the Chargers are they're lost. They do have talent, but they're not even welcomed in there in Los Angeles. They need a quarterback. What else?
Yeah,
The Browns situation feels like it's a little mess. Jaguars is a mess.
Yeah, the Jaguars news yesterday was stunning to me. I mean, when Tom Coughlin gets fired, boy, that is a strong statement. Tom was a wide receivers coach in the early '80s here in Philadelphia, and I think he's one of the finest people I've ever met. And for a guy to get fired for whatever the reasons are, you only know what I read. That's kind of shocking. And you mentioned the Chargers. I guess you would probably look at the overall situation. It's kind of a mess right now. They play 16 road games. It's difficult. You got an aging quarterback who's really not the guy for the future. So yeah, they have issues as well, and the Browns continue to amaze people with their issues.
But how did the media miss out on the Browns?
Well, yeah, because we always get caught up in it.
Were we rooting for this? Is that what you think happened with the Browns, where everybody was all in and thought this team could go to the Super Bowl and Baker Mayfield was going to be an MVP candidate?
Yeah, and I think it all starts with the quarterback, and obviously I'm biased in my feelings of that, but you just have to look at the history of this league, and if you've got the quarterback, you contend for the playoffs every single year. And I think the performance of Baker Mayfield led us to believe, he could be the guy, but he clearly has regressed this year. The repetitive accuracy just has not been there. There seems to be a lack of definition of what they want to do offensively. I mean, when you got a guy like Chubb, I think it should always start with him, and pound it and use Baker and what he does best, his movement, the deep ball accuracy, those sorts of things. And, it's a very good wide receiving core. So that is a big surprise to me this season that the Cleveland has not performed like I thought they would.
If Tom Brady asked you, should he continue to play, what would you tell him?
Yes, I think Tom can still play. I think Tom has lost a little bit of his fastball this year, but more importantly, he has no weapons. I mean, he has no weapons. I watch this offense and going, my God, it's so pedestrian at the wide receiver spot, at the tight end spot. It just, Tom has to be perfect on literally every throw.
Yeah, but I wonder if the Patriots don't have Edelman, well, what kind of chances do you give them? If we're, we always look at the Patriots and you say Super Bowl or bust, it feels like. Are they a Super Bowl caliber team?
Obviously, I'm not giving you a quick reaction, so I'm a little bit torn. I've watched this team. Now, they are getting a little bit healthier in the offensive line, and that will help. But offensively, they have been somewhat of a train wreck this year. They just have not been able to find something to hang their hat on. The running game, the short passing game, the intermediate passing game, explosive plays. It just hasn't happened for them. It's a team right now that is winning on defense. And, you never count out Bill Belichick. The guy just knows how to win football games. He's won Super Bowls with, I would say, above-average talent, and this team clearly has above-average talent. But, boy, when you look at some of the dynamic teams right now, particularly the Baltimore Ravens, you say, man, it's going to be hard to get by guys that have that type of explosive talent because the Patriots have shown no ability to come from behind.
Do you think that Lamar Jackson's success is going to open the door or open eyes with offensive coordinators and head coaches at looking at quarterbacks differently in college?
Oh, absolutely. And I think the way the college game is now preparing quarterbacks for the NFL now realizes you can take some of these offensive formations and structures and philosophies, and you can incorporate them in the National Football League. But, Dan, here's the one issue, and this will go back to the days of Randall Cunningham and Michael Vick, and maybe even go way back to Bobby Douglas of the Bears when you had those running-style quarterbacks. You can't put three of them on your roster. And that's always kind of the issue. You could find one, and boy, you got a gem, but you're always putting the quarterback in harm's way when you're running the football as much as, say, a Lamar Jackson is or a Michael Vick did or a Randall Cunningham did. And the old theory of reduction, you just keep beating on people till they don't want to get up anymore or they get hurt, and that's kind of what happens. So all of a sudden, you go to your backup quarterback and say you now got a Robert Griffin III in Baltimore. There's a huge fall-off. I mean, Robert Griffin is a solid player, but he's not Lamar Jackson right now at this point in his career. So now you have to restructure your offense. What do you do? So you may find one of those guys, but it's very hard to get two or three on your roster and run the same offense.
Jaws, great to catch up with you. Have fun this weekend.
Yeah, it's Dallas week in Philly. The town's all lathered up, and it's a big game. Even though there's 2 7-7 teams, it'll be fun.
Thank you, Jaws. That's Ron Jaworski, former Eagles quarterback.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune into Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV, stream for free on BR Live, or download the Dan Patrick Show app.